section 1.
Yes.
See, when we talk about the Constitution, and this is the reason why I'm coming back to this. When I say mechanisms of the Republic, there are a whole bunch of cogs in the machine. Every cog is important. Every cog needs to be where it is. Going back to the engine, if some of those belts are even just not, put on the right pulley, everything stops, or at least or overheats, depending. Every cog needs to be in the right place and function the way it's supposed to be functioning. And what they've been doing is they've been disabling each cog one by one throughout history. And when we go through these parts of the Constitution, I'm covering a cog here. The legislative powers only belonging to Congress is one of those cogs. The fact that Congress has a bicameral Congress, in other words, two houses that are different from each other. One is the voice of the people. One is the voice of the people that have been appointed by the state legislature, so they're different from each other. That is an important cog in the machine. So when we talk about, well, can't we just fix this real quick? No, because we have all these little cogs. It's like dropping a puzzle. It's not going to be a quick fix. Every piece needs to be put back into place. However, what you'll notice about that puzzle that fell on the ground is that if the corners kind of held together and you kind of start from those, you get the big corners together, it'll be a little easier. So what are the corners, the things that we need to be in place so that the rest of the puzzle is easier to put together? Number one, we need to be a virtuous society. That's the first corner. Number two, we need to act like a republic. That's the second corner. Number three, the states have to hold their own, grow a pair. That's a part of being a republic too. That's a third corner. And the fourth corner is separation of powers. The parts of government only do what they're supposed to do. I believe those are all very important. There's more, but those I think are the top ones. Now, and when it comes to acting like a republic, the two key pieces of that is to repeal the 17th Amendment, get our Senate back to the voice of the states, and get the state senates back to the voice of the counties, which is the repealing the 1964 Reynolds v. Sims case, Warren Court. So those two, but we put those two pieces together, a whole bunch of the other pieces start falling into place. But we still got to put together the whole puzzle. So for those of you who are out there who think this is a quick fix, it can be a really fast, or a civil war will fix it. Not so much. Well, we don't have that kind of time. We have to have that kind of time. We have to hold them off at the gate. We have to fight them tooth and nail to the very end, be it psychologically, spiritually, or physically. The war is on, and we must give ourselves the time to fix it, which means that we aren't the only ones that have to work on this. The generations after us have to too. Mm-hmm. That's why I educate. And that's why I get excited when people younger than me walk into my Constitution classes or listen online, because they're going to grab the baton down the road. They're going to have to fight for this too. And the problem is, what people don't realize is, and this is the toughest part of all, there's no end. It never ends. The evil always tries to do what it does. It's merciless, it's relentless, it's tireless. It never stops. It's like a rushing current under your boat on a river. That strong current that's pushing you down the river. It never stops. You might be able to get your motor going the opposite direction for a while, and you might be able to work your way upriver. But the moment you turn off that motor, the moment you stop that propulsion against that current, it will start taking you back down the river again. That's what this evil does. It's been around since the beginning. It's been around since the first government decided to form itself. It's been around since the first caveman decided to bop another one over the head with a club and said, "I have club, I am the one in power." And it's not stopped since. And these mechanisms I talk about in our Constitution, after all this history, were put there to mediate the problem, to lessen the problem, to make sure we get control of it and we push that boat in the right direction against the current. These are all parts of the engine, but the engine doesn't run if they're not in place. And you know what? In history, liberty is not the norm. Servitude is.
Amen. That's true.
Because liberty takes work. And to be honest with you, we're lazy.
Well, and our laziness has been exploited. And
Yes.
not only has it been exploited, our laziness has been we've been pushed to be more lazy than we normally are. We've been provided an enormous amount of entertainment, bread and circuses. And, shoot, in Rome, all they had was the bread and circus. Now we have television, we have tablets, we have phones, we have games, we have computer. We have all kinds of things that you could do outside. Government and politics is boring.
Well, when I was younger, I had all kinds of things to do too, except for they were outside.
But the point I'm making is that they have made things like this not
it's
exciting.
A Tytler cycle all over again. We've talked about this. For those of you who are not familiar, welcome to a very, very powerful piece of history. Those of you who have heard it, it's worth hearing again. The Tytler cycle. At this point, I wish I had a whiteboard behind me. I'd be drawing it. But if you want to look it up on your computers, Tytler cycle, Tytler. And what you'll see is a circle going clockwise with arrows. And at the very top, at the 12 o'clock position, is bondage. And that's where the Tytler cycle begins. And then right around a little bit past the 1 o'clock position is spiritual faith, a great awakening, God. So people in bondage call out to God. They have their spiritual faith. They have their spiritual awakening. That's the first step. Then about the 3 o'clock, maybe 3 to 4 o'clock position, you have courage. Because once you think you've got God on your side and you're repentant and so forth, you get pretty courageous. Courage. Then right around 4 o'clock position, maybe a little bit past, liberty. That courage, like the American Revolution, brought liberty. So bondage, spiritual faith, courage, liberty. Then at the 5 o'clock, almost 6 o'clock position is prosperity, abundance. Because when you have a system of liberty that was achieved by strong men, you get abundance. The problem is now life has gotten easy and the men have become weak. And the people have become fat and happy. And so from abundance, just past the 6 o'clock position, getting close to the 7 o'clock position, you have selfishness. 8 o'clock, complacency. 9 o'clock, apathy. Somewhere between 10 and 11 o'clock, dependency upon the government. And then back to 12 o'clock, bondage. So we begin in bondage. We reach a level of spiritual faith that encourages us to be courageous, achieve our liberty, and have abundance. From that abundance, selfishness, complacency, apathy, dependency, and back to bondage. According to Alexander Tytler, who created that Tytler cycle, systems of liberty and democracies, not that I want to call this that, take between 200 and 250 years to go through that cycle. Now
I think it's a lot faster now. I think
we're about a minute, maybe 2 minutes before full dependency.
Oh, I disagree.
No, we're 47% dependent according to government statistics.
No, yeah, but I'm saying I would say that we're actually at bondage.
No, this isn't bondage.
Well, bondage takes on several different forms. We are slaves to money and to debt.
Oh, we're feeling the beginnings of bondage, no doubt.
Well, yeah, but again,
but we're not in full bondage yet.
Well, we are in terms of debt.
No.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh, we
on
can
that.
get 10 times worse, 100 times worse. Trust me.
I'm going to disagree. In terms of what? In terms of what's happening
of the bondage. We're just starting to feel the edge of bondage. Just like Christians here don't even know what persecution really is.
This is true.
We really don't know what bondage or persecution is.